Hojicha is a special type of roasted Japanese green tea. While most Japanese green teas take on a vibrant green color and a steamed vegetable flavor, Hojicha has this brown color and much warmer taste profiles. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Noike Hojicha, a fully roasted green tea from Mr. Noike in Kyoto. We'll take a look at where this tea is grown, how it's produced, and also what it tastes like. Let's get started. To truly understand what makes the Noike Hojicha unique, we would have to head out to Kyoto, considered to be the cultural heart of Japan. In addition to being the capital of Japan for over 1,000 years, it was also the capital of tea cultivation. The first Japanese green tea was cultivated at the grounds of Kozanji Temple, and the towns of Uji and Ujitowara just south of Kyoto saw many innovations in production, like the invention of sencha and gyokuro. Another invention was discovered in Kyoto that really made an impact on the Japanese tea industry, and that was Hojicha. In the early 20th century, producers started to roast the stems and older leaves of the tea plant as a way to make use of the parts of the tea plant that would otherwise be discarded. They found that by roasting the tea like this, it took on a beautiful roasted flavor and aroma. Soon people all around Japan became hooked, and Hojicha tea was born. Nowadays you can still find Hojicha being roasted at street markets in Kyoto, particularly in the fall and winter time. In an interest of keeping the proud tradition of Kyoto tea production alive, Mr. Noike moved from Tokyo to a small farm outside of Kyoto to cultivate green tea on a small plot of land. These tea plants grow in the middle of a pine forest where they are partially shaded throughout the day. This gives the teas produced by Mr. Noike a naturally sweet flavor with less bitterness. While most Hojicha teas tend to take on an intense, almost smoky taste profile, the Hojicha Noike leans much more into these smoother and sweeter tasting notes like caramel or chocolate. The roasting process really transforms the tea leaves. The leaves go from this bright green color to a light or dark brown. The color of the liquor goes from a yellowish green to an orange, red, or brown color. What's even more impressive is what happens to the flavor. The tea trades in these steamed vegetable or slightly grassy flavor profiles for warmer, woody, and nutty tasting notes. To fully understand the taste of the Noike Hojicha, we would have to try it for ourselves. Let's brew up a quick pot and see how it tastes.
Okay, so what we have here is the Noike Hojicha. So this is a Hojicha or fully roasted tea coming from Mr. Noike outside of Kyoto. And just by looking at the leaves, you already notice a striking difference between this and a normal sencha. Because these leaves are roasted for such a long time, they're really going to take on this light brown color. They can even go into the dark brown direction if they're roasted for an even longer time. But today we're just going to be doing a quick tasting. I have 5 grams of leaves in the Kyusu teapot, and I'm going to be adding a little bit hotter water this time. So for Hojicha, you're really trying to extract these warmer tasting notes from the tea. So you can use a hotter water temperature for that. And also during the roasting process, you're eliminating some of the catechins, so some of the grassier flavors. And this is kind of the main reason why you keep the brewing temperature for Japanese green tea so low, is because you don't want to go too high and extract some of these bitter or grassy flavors. But you don't have to worry about that so much with Hojicha. You can see by just looking at the leaves that they're very dark, and the less green a tea is, typically the less you have to worry about temperature and brewing time and things like that. So I like to do a little bit of a harder brewing for this tea, maybe somewhere around 175 degrees Fahrenheit seems to be the magic number, and a brewing time of 1 minute usually, but it can go a little bit over that. It's not a big deal if you really want a kind of a strong Hojicha. For me personally, when I brew Hojicha, I want it to be a little bit strong. I'm really looking for that kind of dark roasted, almost coffee flavor from the Hojicha, particularly in the winter time. So depending on how a Hojicha is roasted, it typically ranges from either a light orange to kind of a reddish brown. I would say this tea is somewhere in the middle, probably a little bit more on the orange side if I had to pick. So this is kind of a lighter roasted tea. But let's go ahead and have a taste. You're really getting that nice kind of sweet wood caramel flavor. Definitely on the sweeter side in the world of Hojicha tea. Let's go ahead and take a quick sniff of the leaves. This is something I like to do with Hojicha. A lot of smokiness coming from the leaves, so it's definitely on the darker side, at least just by smelling the leaves. It smells a little bit darker, a little bit heavier roasted, but the flavor is almost the opposite. It's kind of this lighter roasted flavor. Yeah, you get a little bit of this sweeter taste from the Hojicha. It's a little bit like milk coffee or milk chocolate, so Normally, when we compare this to the cookie hojicha, which is a really dark roasted hojicha, there you're talking about dark chocolate and black coffee. Here it's more like milk chocolate, milk coffee, a little bit lighter on the tasting notes. You're definitely getting this kind of woody characteristic from the tea. And if you look at the leaves themselves, it kind of makes sense. You see some stems in here. And a lot of times these roasted stems can really give off that kind of woody taste characteristic. But it's kind of like a sweet wood. But thank you guys so much for tuning into this tasting of the Noike Hojicha. So this is a great Hojicha tea for beginners. If you want to pick some up, you can find it on our website, neoteas.com. If you have any questions about Hojicha tea or green tea in general, please feel free to leave those in the comments below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. But until then, we'll see you next time.